Hi, I'm Clay Austin from The Wicked Edge, and what I've got here is a knife sent in by a customer named Doug. It's a Spyderco Paramilitary 2, and he writes in and says, knife number 1, Spyderco Paramilitary 2 with CTS 20CP steel, which I've read a little bit about, and it's got great corrosion resistance and wear resistance with a high vanadium content. He says, I recently got this knife and the factory edge could use some work as the bevels are uneven. And I do notice that the bevel on the right hand side of the knife is quite a bit larger than the bevel on the left hand side of the knife. He says, I would like to have it sharpened at 15 degrees per side or 30 degrees inclusive. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm grateful to have a chance to mess with this knife for a couple reasons. One, I've read a lot on the forums, guys love these knives, and I know they're high quality, everything by Spyderco is well made. And the other reason is because the geometry of the blade design presents some unique challenges and gives us some things to talk about with the sharpener. The question we often get is, can the Wicked Edge sharpen a fully flat ground blade? And this is a great example of a fully flat ground blade. It tapers from the heel of the blade all the way to the tip in this direction, and it also tapers from the spine of the blade all the way to the edge. So there's no parallel faces, and it means that grabbing it in the clamp can be a little bit challenging. So that's one thing that we're going to talk about. And then the second thing we're going to talk about is the finish of the edge. I'm looking at it right now, and the edge is just finished in a way you would expect from pretty much any factory knife. It's got kind of a rough finish. You can see the grind marks as a lot of little teeth along the bevel, and that gives a very nice toothy edge at first. And when you first start to cut something with that toothy edge, it feels really sharp. It just bites in and it's very aggressive. My experience has been that it wears pretty quickly though, and the sharpness goes away fast. We're going to have a little test here from before and after, and the first part of the test we're going to just slice through a catalog without sharpening the knife, then we'll sharpen the knife, try it again through the catalog, and we'll just see how many pages we get to in the catalog. So I've got a little Cabela's catalog here. I've peeled back the front cover so that we can have a really nice apples to apples comparison. And I'm just going to push down and draw towards me in a nice slicing motion, which is what a very toothy edge is optimized for. So here we go. I'm pushing down pretty hard here. And we're going to just take a look and see how many pages we got through. Okay, we're clean through to page 25. So once we've sharpened the knife, and we'll repeat the test and we'll see what kind of improvement we've gotten. Okay, so without further ado, we'll go ahead and get to clamping this thing and the challenges that a fully flat ground blade present. I've got a little trick here that I learned. Is on the inside of my clamp, I just put a little bit of double-sided foam tape. And I'm just talking about the really cheap stuff you pick up at the grocery store for hanging posters and things. It's just a double-sided sticky foam tape. And I cut off 2 little squares and I stick them on the inside of my vise like this. Normally I run them across the whole width of the vise, but because this knife tapers all the way down the length of it, I've just put them on the front half there. And basically what the tape is doing is it's filling in the voids and allowing me to get a really nice vertical clamp on the knife and hold it really well. So I put the tape on, I just reassemble this, which just takes a moment. And then the next thing in clamping a fully flat ground blade is I want to start with the bottom of the vise opened to the width of the knife. So I just insert the knife, make sure it's at least open as wide as the thickness of the spine. Now because this knife is a little bit over 1 inch from spine to edge, I'm going to use the lower holes in the vise here, and I'm going to just plug my vise key, or my depth key, excuse me, into the alignment guide and slide that in. And then I'm going to slide the knife forward to position B, just like this. And I'm going to snug up the top, and then I'll just put a little pressure to clamp it on the bottom. And what I want to verify now, and I'm going to use this angle cube to do it, is that I'm getting the same angle on the left and the right sides of the knife, and make sure that the tape is doing what it's supposed to do. So I just set this on here, lay it against this knife, and I read it, and we're at 15.25 degrees on this side. And then I can just come over to the other side do the exact same thing. And we are at 15.1 degrees, so there's a slight asymmetry, which I believe has to do with the way that the knife was ground originally. Now there we go, 15.2535. There's a little variation depending on how I hold the stone against the blade, but we're right in the right ballpark. So we've got nice symmetry from side to side using our little tape trick. So next thing I'm going to do is just fully snug up the bottom here and make sure the knife is really well. I mean, I can just pick up the whole plate here with it. So the next thing I want to demonstrate is the proper recording of your knife settings in our manual. So what I've got is the manual open to page 17, which is the first of our several pages of charts, and we've got a little matrix here where we can record the brand, the model, the angle, the marks, and the depth. So on this knife, for example, I would put Spyderco Para 2, angle 15 degrees, mark B, and bottom holes. And that way when I go to touch up this knife in the future, I just put it into these exact same settings and I pick up right where I left off, which just saves a ton of time.